So, question for you. When we had the whole fight in the alley and Rudy decides not to take the 100 gold pieces, what percentage, whether it's 100% to 0%, whether it's 80 to 20, or 50-50, what percentage did he make his decision because it was the right move to do in a dating sim for a tsundere to like him? Or what percentage was it because he felt like it was the right thing to do? Or he wanted to do it?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. Like, that is such a great... Like, okay, so when he brings up... At the very end, he brings up the points. He's like, I bet I got points for that last move. I play visual novel games, not very often, but I've played a few. Collar Malice is one of my favorites, Cupid's Parasite. And, you know, they're fun stories. There's a bunch of bachelors, you know. And when he says these things that call upon, you know, like picking options and giving specific gifts in order. I also play games like Stardew Valley. And, you know, you have to give people like a specific gift they like in order for them to like you. And it's common in a lot of more life sim
It's
games.
very common in games in general.
In games in general. And it made me so... Oh, yeah, Fire Emblem Three Houses. It's in that, too. It's in the Fire Emblem franchise. I get so happy whenever he says things like that because it's a callback to something that I know from my own kind of gaming experience. And I also find it to just be such an interesting idea if I'm thinking about Rudy as if he's a real person in this universe and him thinking about people this way. Like, I'm not walking around in real life thinking like, ooh, if I give Ben his favorite flavor chips, I'll get 5 points in favor, you know? Like, I'll get 5 hearts unlocked and unlock a cutscene after that.
Well, I think a lot of that is because of the lack of meta awareness in our life, right? Because it's not that simple. Mm-hmm. So in this life, it is that simple. Mm-hmm. So to go back to my question, what percentage do you think it is for Rudy and to save and go forward with his actions in Eris in that hallway? Do you think that he did that mainly because he knew it was the right thing to do so he'd get what he wanted in the end? Or do you think he did it so because he thought that it might be the right thing to do or felt like that's what he should do?
When he did it, I had genuine vibes in a way. I don't know why I've used vibes multiple times. That's a bad word choice. It's not the best word choice. I got the feeling that he was being really genuine, and I also felt like there was no way he was going to take this offer anyway. But the percentage of was it truly him being a good person to... was he thinking it would get him points? I am torn on like what that percentage would be because I'm sure it's almost like he wanted to do the good thing and he justified it to himself that he was doing it to get points. I think that might be where I'm going with it, is that his initial feeling was to do the right thing and that he wanted to save her, and then he almost twists things after he has good intentions and good feelings, and then he twists them. The feeling I'm getting, dude, is that he is almost... Is that self-sabotage? Is he sabotaging himself?
I don't know about sabotaging. I do think it might be intentionally ambiguous for us as the viewer to know where he actually is in that line, because we've seen so many different instances of Rudy being a morally bad or gray character in a lot of instances. So I think that we are supposed to fight with the idea of what he's feeling there, because it could totally be some sort of coping mechanism to in Rudy's mind, from what we know, because we only have a very limited source of information. What we know, he is intellectually stunted in growth, and he has never had these emotions and feelings within his personal experiences in his personal life, like he had this episode with Eris. So I think that Rudy, whether they're real or not, I don't think it matters. Whether Rudy actually felt, even for 1% there, that he might want to do it because it's right, he can't escape the fact that he's used to that right answer being an answer to win in a video game or get what he wants in a video game. It's so...
Which is the same reason he wanted to get Sylphie to be able to go to school, because he was like, the character has told me that she will miss me if I leave town, so now I'm going to go and save money.
The potential
be a farmer.
The potential morality of Rudy is so fucked because it's so tethered to the idea of these games and visual novels that he's used to and he played, that it's hard to imagine the instances and experiences and time that he will have to overcome to be able to think of these things as a pure thing, or not even as a pure thing, as putting others first and not connecting it immediately to something like a point.
I think this episode could be an amazing point of transition.
Yeah.
Because he went from almost treating this world, the Second Life, as if a game in order to progress easily, quickly, and be successful. And then we have him face the reality that he can die in this life too, in this episode. And that is monumental and traumatic, what he just saw. Someone was decapitated in front of him and he was soaked in their blood. Like, there is no getting away from the reality of death, and that this isn't just some game for him to play and try to manipulate everybody's feelings so that they love him. I think that this could be some amount of a transition, a point in time of him, maybe not treating this life as much of a game as he was before.
I think that you're right. And it was almost like he was in that mindset of, okay, I'm doing this, but I'm justifying it, game, blah, 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 blah. Blood on my hands. I've completely snapped out of it. I have a perception or a point of view of, holy shit, what's after this life? I don't fucking know. It's fear, it's trauma. He had to deal with it again, and then his character decided to walk away from Eris after thinking to himself that was the end of the line. We had no inner monologue there to tell us that it was older Rudy thinking through that this walking away from the tsundere would get him that point. He got the point after his trauma this episode, after the murder in front of him that we saw he was traumatized about, and then after he got it, referenced it as a point. So I think that could be like a punch to the huge gut of trying to be a better person or growing inevitably.
It fits with my thought that he feels like somewhat his old self is still clinging on and needs to justify any of his actions as, but that'll get you a point, so that's good, you should do that. But it makes me think of some other shows we've seen where the moment characters stop trying to be manipulative and stop trying to get a result is the moment that things go better for them. And that almost their true self is let out. And the moment that they're distracted, like obviously here, I think distraction is a great word. In this moment, he just saw and went through something very traumatic. And so his thoughts aren't focused, I'm thinking as he's walking away, aren't focused on kind of the results and if I walk the tactic, if I walk away right now, then she'll yell after me. And I feel that because of when they choose to place the voiceover and when they don't, that maybe this was actually the child Rudy that just went through something traumatic, and so he's not plotting in his head.
That's what I meant by, in the beginning of the discussion, I'm going to start giving the show a lot more credit than I early on, because I feel like everything's so intentional and deliberate. Could be wrong. Could be, luck. I don't know. A coincidence.
It could be trying to make us, think really deeply about something that isn't necessarily... It's it could be just, a giant, joke.
It could be.
It's trying to make you, take this seriously. Rip the rug out from under us.
I do think if what this show is about Rudy's potential growth as a human being or as a living being, I think that maybe you'd be forced to someday deal with the morality of, if you have previous knowledge and more knowledge over everybody else, and you know that you can use that to get the better of them in every situation, if you have that knowledge and choose to do that, you've already fucked up. And would that come to the edge of Rudy being you can't just shut off the fact that you have knowledge of a previous life, but would it put Rudy to be in a position of, I won't use this for personal gain. I will only use this knowledge of a previous life to help other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel like that would be the goal at the end of the day here.
He might just also need just a continuation of getting proven wrong in this action, that the response he thinks he should do in order to get the points or progress isn't actually because you can't just like it's a real person. Real people aren't going to always respond the way that he's going to predict and that they are.
I agree, but I hope that it doesn't go that way, because I think that you could potentially, because I can be 100% wrong here, potentially do more with the growth of Rudy as a character if this world is so easily manipulated and so easy to win for him.
And he makes the conscious decision.
Exactly.
To, okay.
I think that would probably be easier for me to digest in the realm of redeeming a character.
Like, losing out all the time and being like, oh, rats, to get blasted off in the sky like Team Rocket every episode.
Yeah, I think it could be rewarding and funny sometimes to see his expectation of knowing what's going to happen being, subverted. But going forward, I think that it could be cool.
I think
for him as a character.
I like where you're going with it. It's better in terms of actual true growth that you make the conscious decision for yourself.
So good. I like that.
This is a great episode.
Yeah. Do you have anything else?
Fireworks, because it's on the screen right now. I loved that he chose the call people's attention method here. I think that was very smart and quick thinking, and it also kind of fits with his age in this universe to choose to call for help and alert people to what is going on. And I thought it was just like a very smart move. It distracts the enemy for a few seconds, and it also has the chance that someone else is going to come help you. And I thought it was really pretty, and I loved Eris's reaction to the fireworks.
Yeah, it was awesome. It's like this character who is doing like a badass thing, but then it's like kind of like fun, like humorously like ruined by like like interjection, like him saying "dare" out loud. Yeah. It's so good.
It's badass, but it's also like, I'm calling for reinforcement.
Exactly,
which isn't badass,
It's so good.
If he was like, oh, maybe I'll win her heart by completely annihilating all these thieves all on my own. He's like, I'm gonna call for help.
This show is like, I don't think I've ever watched a show that I've been this enamored by like magic and watching the fight scenes and choreography with, and we haven't even really gotten magic versus magic yet, which I hope one day we get, because like we
can build walls.
It's so fun to watch Rudy use all this to his advantage, and I was so worried that if he was so overpowered, it was just going to be like him being the Avatar and having all the elements, right? But no. He is getting challenged, was about to die, while he's using all this, like, fucking amazing magic. It's so fun to watch.
We wondered what the severity, kind of life and death and injury was going to be in this universe, specifically with Caravaggio and him getting healed. We were like, oh, is healing magic just so, powerful that, like, there's actually going to be no chance of serious injury and death? Rudy, he heals Eris, but he doesn't heal her all the way. And I believe he says it's because she might shout again, but I don't know if I necessarily believe that. Like, why isn't he healing her all the way? Is it a ploy? Was it a ploy that she still would need to follow him and need his help because she wasn't completely strong yet? Was it to make sure she didn't try to fight the thieves again?
Yeah.
There probably was some thought there with him for that. But I was still thinking that healing, could, fix all problems. And here we get Ghislaine, like, decapitating people. And I'm like, there's no way that they're getting healed. And that Rudy has now faced this death. If you were in a world, a universe that had healing magic, and you were a child, I don't think you would really think about, like, severity of injury. You'd go out, you'd scrape your knee, and you'd come home, and mom would heal it for you, or dad would heal it for you, and then you'd go back out and fall out of a tree.
And to see the line that can be met, that's like, okay, it's permanent in a sense. Yeah, it's a shock that we.
It's probably like when kids have their first like broken bone is probably when they like realize that roughhousing or doing dangerous stunts could actually get you like really hurt, and mom and dad can't just like put a band-aid on it and make you and kiss it and it'll makes it all better. And Rudy kind of has that moment where he realizes that, like, yes, there's healing magic and there's really cool things in this world, but I can also die. And that is my parting thought.
My last thing I want to do is go through a little bit of the Ghislaine scene, because I like, we've talked about it in the discussion already, how great the, you know, sound design, animation, direction, storyboarding is. It is great, but like, there was something so special about this scene. I was worried that because of everything else excelling so well, that we wouldn't get moments of just like really creative, cool, great animation. And Ghislaine, like, we're following her head and we're going over the buildings, looking down on the situation with Eris and Rudy. And you just see, like, for a frame, a blip before the sword gets destroyed. Her landing's great. There's this, like,
rainbow tunnel vision.
Yeah, like, it's like a rainbow, like, sonar coming at the screen. It shuts down. Everything goes inverted, like, monotone. The bad guys have, like, a light blue outline on them, and fucking Ghislaine is just red outlined. And then the best part of it is after, like, she flashes for like a second from red to white and then black to back to red. And then the best part of it is when the whole world regains color.
And it comes back at her.
Yeah, through the alleyway. It is so freaking cool. Good. I love it so much. She
is awesome.
Yeah. And I during the reaction didn't get a chance to finish the thought. I was like, is her sword red? Or is it just red because of all the fucking blood that it has on it right now, you know?
Oh, that is a place to go that could totally be right. Oh my god, I didn't even think about that.
It was so good, though. Great episode. Favorite episode of the series so far.
This was a great episode.
You good? Mm-hmm. Cool. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.
He feels like somewhat his old self is still clinging on. He feels like somewhat his old self is still clinging on. He feels like somewhat his old self is still clinging on.
He feels like somewhat his old self is still clinging on.